And Benedict, why is the United Kingdom taking such a tough stance here?
Well, the UK is taking a tough stance because it wants to affirm that it is taking back control. Remember that mantra back in 2016, which meant that the British people actually did vote in favour of Brexit, in favour, therefore, of leaving the club of 28, divorcing from the 27 other EU member states. So this morning, I went to Downing Street, got a background briefing from the chief negotiator, who is the British equivalent, if you want, for the EU of Michel Barnier. Get used to the name. He is called David Frost. And this is the document on the future relationship that we got, the future relationship with the EU. So the United Kingdom has made it very clear, particularly today, that it wants to be treated as a sovereign equal. Of course, it's divorcing after a 44-year relationship, and you can imagine that is not an easy or overnight thing to do. But of course, it isn't overnight. That referendum was in 2016. So Michael Gove, the minister, made a statement this morning to the House of Commons, and he told MPs that the UK wanted to strike a comprehensive free trade deal agreement in 10 months. Remember that Boris Johnson pledged that there would be absolutely no extension and that any deal needed to be discussed, negotiated and signed and agreed by the 31st of December. So the UK has left the EU. We're on an interim transition period, post-Brexit, if you will. And that 30-page document I was just showing you outlines really the priorities for the talks as the UK sees it.
So, Benedict, there's no guarantee that a deal can be reached by the end of 2020, is there?
Absolutely not. Anybody who would try and guarantee that would be a fool. But where it got more complicated today is the fact that Michael Gove made clear that the government here will review the situation if by June it feels that it hasn't made sufficient progress in those negotiations with the EU. I should confirm that the talks, official ones, are starting next Monday, the 2nd of March in Brussels. And the novelty, the difference in this interim period since the United Kingdom has officially left the EU already and is in this interim period, is that there will no longer just be talks in Brussels. They'll also be held in London. So we understand that mid-March will be the first time that happens. And concretely next week, those talks don't just happen on Monday in Brussels. They go from the Monday to the Thursday. Interestingly, it was confirmed this morning that there will be 10 parallel teams that the UK will have. About 100 people will be holding those negotiations. But expect sort of some quite difficult negotiations, some flashpoints, for example, certainly I would say on fisheries, on what is called dynamic alignment, on level playing field, very much the UK, as I said, wanting to be treated as sovereign equal, and the EU seeing that geographic proximity as the possibility of having on its doorstep unfair competition. That is not the way the United Kingdom sees it at all. As for fisheries, the UK wants quota deals like the EU has with Iceland or Norway, but the EU wants continued access to UK waters. So I think there will be peaks and troughs. Can the negotiators actually smooth things out behind, away from the cameras? We'll have to see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Benedict, thank you very much for that update. Benedict Pavio reporting there from London.